Okay, we are just gonna do a super fast printmaking review, and I'm just gonna take you through some of the inking problems you might have so that you can do this really well without me. I'm gonna be back soon. Even just doing this little bit of stuff was pretty difficult for me today, but I miss you guys terribly. So come on over here, let's just take a look at what we've got going on. Okay, remember, you're gonna be just putting ink the width of a brayer across the top. We're gonna have 2 stations happening at each tray. So there'll be 4 spots to be inking at a time. You're gonna be dipping your ink in, okay, just getting a little bit on the brayer, and you're only gonna be spreading it, always lifting and rolling until we get this nice sticky sound. Oh, I'm starting to hear it, listen. Do you hear, like, there's kind of a velvety sort of a sound? And if you look at the brayer, it's shiny and even and not gloppy looking at all. It's just got a nice even coating of ink on there. And I can just hear kind of a Velcro-y sound when I'm getting that ink on there. If you get too much ink, there's gonna be problems. And I'm gonna show you that. Right now, I'm very intentionally going to put on not enough ink this time. And just kind of show you what happens and how you can fix it. This is Bodie, my son's printing plate from last trimester. So I'm just gonna start putting some ink on here, and I'm gonna try not to get enough, and I'll just call that good. Okay, it was just a nice thin coating. Now we've got 2 sets of practice of paper. Sorry, one is practice printing paper, you can see, and the other is final printing paper. For days and days, you're just gonna practice print. And you might even do practice prints before you're even done carving. So with this paper, I'm just gonna get the flimsy paper. I'm not gonna worry about registration. I'm just gonna slap it down. I don't care that it's not in the lines. I'm just gonna put a piece of paper on top of it. It doesn't matter. And I'm just gonna run this through the printing press. Make sure that all 3 of these boards are on each side. Your teacher will check and make sure that that's just the right tightness, and then we run that through. A quick practice is going to tell me a lot. Now, do you see how grainy and weird this is? Like it looks chalky, it's airy, it wasn't a great print. Also, I forgot one other thing. We're picking up these ridges of the big roller right here. So we need to put a cover sheet on top of this, and I forgot about that. So I'm gonna label one of these. It's just gonna be one of these final sheets, but this is gonna be our cover sheet that will do that, and that will help make it a little more smooth. So let's ink again. This is what it looks like if you don't have enough, all right? And I'll show you how to fix that. Again, I'm using this paper. If it gets too inky, just tear a sheet off. Let's do that again. Oh, there's that sound. Okay. This time I'm gonna really be careful and make sure I'm inking everywhere. Grabbing maybe a tiny bit more. And I'm gonna check and hold this in the light and make sure that it has like a shine on everything. So I'm just making sure I've got all the edges clear to the corners. Bodie's is kind of a curved shape one. He cut some of his corners off to make it a different shape. Now if I shine this in the light, I can see right there still looks a tiny bit dry. It's not as shiny as the rest. I'm just gonna make sure before I do this that it's all super perfect. Okay. All right, let's look at the shine now. I don't know if you guys can see the shining on there, but it looks pretty good. Let's try it out. Again, just grabbing a practice piece. Do not grab a final piece until you are a master at inking and you've carved everything you want away. Just slap that down. I'm going to put this cover sheet on too this time. Run it through. And this time it should be a lot darker. I can tell already because it's like stuck. Okay, I had a couple of things happen. So you can see the difference between these two. This one's much blacker. Okay, we've got nice richness in the blackness, but do you see how I lost all of the detail right down here in the wheel. It's supposed to have these white lines down in here, and now it only has black lines. I did maybe too much ink right down here, and that is a sign of too much ink. If you don't clean this out, it's gonna stay like this every time you print. So what I need to do now is I need to get a sharpened pencil. So we've got one hiding out here. Let me just sharpen it a tiny bit. Ooh, that's not right. There we go. All right. Okay, a sharpened pencil. And I'm just gonna run through those lines really quick and just clean them out. And I'll just take that little bit of ink that's in them out. See, there's ink down in there. And clean. It doesn't take too long to do that. And if you're really careful and you just are careful not to get too much ink, you'll be in good shape. And then what do I need to do? There's gonna be a wet rag by all of the stations, always, so you can keep your fingers clean. Mine are obviously gonna be dirty because I just pulled a bunch of ink out of there. Let's try one more print. I'm just gonna see anywhere else that might have thick ink kind of sitting down in the groove. Right there. Okay, let's see if we can get a print where all of these lines show up. And if it's starting to get kind of cakey looking, like you've printed a lot of times, you can always take a wet rag and you can wipe this off a little bit and take some, like kind of the layers of ink off. Okay, don't do that. Really. Okay, I know my hands are dirty, so I don't have anything to wipe my hands off, but I'm just gonna get them clean. Okay, so let's try this one more time. Let's see if I can get the perfect amount this time. This will be your hardest thing you have to do. Getting the perfect amount of ink is the trickiest thing. There's that sound. Okay, let's see how I do. I'm gonna be really careful. Okay, let's see. Let me check out the shininess. And I could even, before I print, if I think that it might not be clean enough, I could even come before I print and I could just hit a few of those spots and just make sure. But I think they look pretty good, actually. But I could clean those with that sharpened pencil. Let's see how I did this time. Now this time, I'm gonna do a final printing. I feel like I'm pretty good at inking now. I'm gonna line this up right in this rectangle, okay? I'm gonna then check my fingers and make sure they're clean. They are not, but we're gonna pretend that I wiped them off and they're clean. They're actually dry. This time I'm grabbing a final print paper. I'm lining it up at the corners of this paper underneath, and I'm just dropping it straight down. That makes sure that it's right in the center. I'm still putting the cover sheet on, and I'm gonna run this. Again, making sure my hands are clean. And oh, I have one little spot that maybe didn't have enough ink, but I kept my white lines. I was being really careful right there because I knew that was a tricky spot. So this would be an okay print. There's no fingerprints on the outside. Everything looks good. You want to turn in 3 decent prints. I'm not going to say absolutely perfect. I can see I did lose a tiny bit of detail right in here. So maybe on my next one. But don't start final printing until you feel really confident and feel like you're good at inking. That's why you're going to practice a bunch of times. So those are the inking problems you might run into, how to remedy them. And I think you guys are going to do a great job. I cannot wait to see these. Thank you.